hands on myself. Think I'll dust them off, put them back up on the shelf. Yes, my little baby girl is in need. Am I coming out of left field? Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Got another mouth to feed. Leaving with the babies till the mama call the grave digger. Gone with the falling leaves. Am I coming out of left field? Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might have had your fill, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, I feel it still. We could fight a war for peace. Give in to that easy living, goodbye to my hopes and dreams. Stop flipping for my enemies. We could wait until the walls come down. It's time to give a little to the kids in the middle. Oh, until it falls, won't bother me. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks. Yeah, your lovers and a bitch for my heart to eclipse now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Might have had your fill, but I feel it still.
Hold me like you want to. Tell me what you're into. Let me take you back to old school. Baby, let me show you. It's a big old world out there, and I just wanna be next to you. There's a spark in your eyes so rare, and I just know there ain't time to lose.
right now. No easy way to say this, and I don't know how. It's nothing you did, but here goes letting you hit down. Baby, you're so perfect, but he's the perfect one for me. I know that you're worth it, but something about him gets to me, all I need. Plus we got history. I used to love him, he used to love me. Yeah, we go way, 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 way back. We love, love, love like that. Now I still love him, and he still loves me. Yeah, we go way, 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 way back. We love, love, love like that. Way, 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 way back. I didn't know I felt the way I did before. It's nothing I did, and now I guess I'm sure. It's like we never really ever closed that door. There's nothing we did, and now our hearts want more. Baby, you're so perfect, but he's the perfect one for me. I know that you're worth it, but something about him gets to me, all I need. Plus we got history. I used to love him, he used to love me. Yeah, we go way, 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 way back. We love, love, love like that. Now I still love him, and he still loves me. Yeah, we go way, 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 way back. We love, love, love like that. Way, 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 way back. Baby, you're so perfect, but he's the perfect one for me. I know that you're worth it, but something about him gets to me, all I need. Plus we got history. I used to love him, he used to love me. Yeah, we go way, 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 way back. We love, love, love like that. Now I still love him, and he still loves me. Yeah, we go way, 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 way back. We love, love, love like that. I used to love him, he used to love me. Yeah, we go way, 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 way back. We love, love, love like that. Now I still love him, and he still loves me. Yeah, we go way, 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 way back. We love, love, love like that. We go way, 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 way back. I get high all the time, I get drunk on my mind, call you at 5 in the morning, and I say what I like, and I don't like playing nice. I might pick a fight without warning when it gets boring. I try to keep it cool and turn it down for you, but I'm never gonna change, and that's why I be saying, boy, you took it from me, but I want you anyway. And I know I don't fit in, but I want you anyway. Only you, only me, and it's all that I need. Only you, only me, only you. Boy, you took it from me, but I want you anyway. Yeah. I don't pick up the phone vacation. Bloodshot eyes looking for the sun. Paradise delivered and we call it a vacation. Vacation. You're painting me a dream that I wanna belong in. Wanna belong in. Over the hills and far away, a million miles from LA, just anywhere away with you. I know we've got to get away, someplace where no one knows our name. We'll find the start to something new. Just take me anywhere, take me anywhere, anywhere away with you. Just take me anywhere, take me anywhere, anywhere away with you. Truth comes out when we're blacking out, looking for connection in a crowd of empty faces, empty faces. Your secret's still the only thing I'm craving now. The good and the bad in me in, 'cause I can take it, I can take it. You're painting me a dream that I wanna belong in, wanna belong in. Over the hills and far away, a million miles from LA, just anywhere away with you. I know we've got to get away, someplace where no one knows our name. We'll find the start to something new. Just take me anywhere, take me anywhere, anywhere away with you. Take me anywhere, oh anywhere, anywhere away with you. Take me over the hills and far away, a million miles from LA, just anywhere away, anywhere. I know we've got to get away, someplace where no one knows our name. We'll find a start to something, find a start. Just take me anywhere, take me anywhere, anywhere away, anywhere. Just take me anywhere, take me anywhere, take me anywhere, anywhere away, anywhere. That's loving, anywhere away.
I saw you were someone to trust. Get tough, grow up, be straight up. No, you've been in me. You're the best lie I've ever heard, or you're the best lie I've never heard. You're just a hype, though. Better work on that hype, bro. Better work on that hype, bro. Do you need me to spell it out loud? Just screw it up, plot twist, moved on, and now you want me. You're playing games like a wannabe. Tough luck, you're kidding yourself. Plot twist, moved on, and now you want me. You're playing games like a wannabe. Like a wannabe. Tick tock, we're overdue. But if you're gonna crack my heart, do it in two. Give me a show, still let you know, from me you're getting pushed out of my priority.
nobody knows. Getting caught behind the station. Remember that policeman chased us. Oh, nobody knows. We have come so far, we can turn back now. Let me walk you down this road. Follow me when it's dark out. I will be your lighthouse. And if you're lost, oh, I'll lead you back home. Follow me. There was a time you told me secrets, but you were scared I wouldn't keep them all. But nobody knows. We used to smoke and watch the airplanes making out as the ground shaked. Oh, still nobody knows. We have come so far, we can't turn back now. Let me walk you down this road. Follow me when it's dark out. I will be your lighthouse. And if you're lost, oh, I'll lead you back home. Follow me.
I woke up with a fear this morning, but I can taste you on the tip of my tongue. Alarm without no warning. You're by my side and we've got smoke in our lungs. Last night we were way up, kissing in the back of the cab. And then you say, love, baby, let's go back to my flat. And when we wake up, never had a feeling like that. I got a reason, so man, put that record on again. I don't wanna hear sad songs anymore. I only wanna hear love songs. I found my heart up in this place tonight. Don't wanna sing mad songs anymore. Only wanna sing your song. 'Cause your songs got me feeling like I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love. Yeah, you know, your songs got me feeling like no fear, but I think I'm falling. I'm not proud, but I'm usually the type of girl that would hit and run. No risk, so I think I'm all in. When I kiss your lips, feel my heartbeat thump. And now we're way up, dancing on the roof of the house. And then we make love right there on your best friend's couch. And then you say, love, this is what it's all about. So keep on kissing my mouth and put that record on again. I don't wanna hear sad songs. sing mad songs anymore. I only wanna sing your song, 'cause your songs got me feeling like I don't wanna hear sad songs anymore. I only wanna hear love songs. I found my heart up in this place tonight. I don't wanna sing mad songs anymore. Only wanna sing your song, 'cause your songs got me feeling like I'm in love, 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 I'm in love. Yeah, you know, your songs got me feeling like
I've been reading books of old, the legends and the myths, Achilles and his gold, Hercules and his gifts, and Spider-Man's control, and Batman with his fists. And clearly I don't see myself upon that list. But she said, where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss. Just something I can turn to, somebody I can kiss. I want something just like this. Oh, I want something just like this. Oh, I want something just like this. I want something just like this. I've been reading books of old, the legends and the myths, the testaments they told, the moon and its eclipse, and Superman unrolls the suit before he lived. But I'm not the kind of person that it fits. She said, where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss. Just something I can turn to, somebody I can miss. I want something just like this. I want something just like this. Oh, I want something just like this. Oh, I want something just like this. Where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss. Just something I can turn to, somebody I can kiss. I want something just like this. taste your smile until the morning light. Ain't no going back the way you look tonight. I see it in your eyes. I just need to get it off my chest. Yeah, more than you know. Yeah, more than you know. You should know that, baby, you're the best. Yeah, more than you know. 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 Yeah, more than I just wondering about your mama. Did she get that job she wanted? So that car that gave her problems. I'm just curious about her honest. Know you wondering why I've been calling, like I got ulterior motives. No, we didn't end this so good, but you know we had something so good. I'm wondering, can we still be friends? Can we still be friends? Doesn't have to end, and if it ends, can we be friends? Can we be friends? Can we be friends? Wondering if you got a body to hold you tight since I left. Wondering if you think about me. Actually, don't answer that. Know you wondering why I've been calling, like I got ulterior motives. No, we didn't end this so good, but you know we had something so good. I'm wondering, can we still be friends? Can we still be friends? Doesn't have to end, and if it ends, can we be friends? Can we be friends? And if it ends, can we be friends? Are you wondering why I've been calling, like I got ulterior motives? No, we didn't end this so good, but you know we had something so good. I'm wondering, can we still be friends? Can we still be friends? Doesn't have to end, and if it ends, can we be friends? Okay, I was drunk as hell. Okay, but so are you. The same flight, same row, the same hotel. That sounds fake, but this is the truth. Why don't we just go back to where we came from? Summer air,
Why don't we just go back, back to where we came from? The summer air, the summer air. Let's go back, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. The summer air, the summer air. Okay, I guess I'm still high. Okay, high on you. One kiss, one touch, all in one more time. Stay the night, maybe two. Why don't we just go back, back to where we came from? The summer air, the summer air. Why don't we just go back, back to where we came from? The summer air, the summer air. Let's go back, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. The summer air, the summer air. You grabbed my hand, you took me to paradise. By no chance to forget this night. Since I'm back home, I feel like paralyzed. Baby, it's so wrong, let's make it right. Why don't we just go back, back to where we came from? The summer air, the summer air. Why don't we just go back, back to where we came from? The summer air, the summer air. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. Why don't we just go back?
Feels out of place. Our fading love takes us back to yesterday. The bed is cold from our mistakes. Sheets so empty though we never liked the space. Woke up, I'm half drunk. Got a feeling we ain't done. Cause anywhere you run, no one's gonna know you better. Cause I was your first one. Back when we were so young. You can go and have your fun. I know we'll still wake up together. Yeah, 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 yeah. Stay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll hold you every day, every day. I'll wait, yeah, yeah, yeah. Stay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll hold you every day, every day. I'll wait. Every day I'll wait. Every day I'll wait. Every day I'll wait. Every day I'll wait. We're trapped inside these paper walls. Side by side, still together, we're apart. All these years, the high and lows. All we know is us, now we can't let it go. Woke up, I'm half drunk. Got a feeling we ain't done. Cause anywhere you run, no one's gonna know you better. Cause I was your first one. Back when we were so young. Oh, you can go and have your fun. I know we'll still wake up together. Yeah, 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 yeah. Stay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll hold you every day,
until the tide has come. And baby, do you believe in me? 'Cause I believe in you until the light is gone. Just hop with me till the morning comes. Just hop with me so I can hear. Just hop with me till the morning comes. Just hop with me. Trust in me like I'm trusting you until the time has come. Baby, reach out for the sun, never turn around until the light is gone. Just hop with me till the morning comes. Just hop with me so I can hear. Just hop with me till the morning comes. Just hop with me. Shut me out, but pull me close. Kinda loving it, give me a heartache. Hold me tight, but let me go. Kinda loving it, look what you started. Turn me on, then piss me off. Kinda loving it, got me addicted. Oh, you got me addicted. Oh, I don't mind what you do, what you do, what you do with me, baby. I'm so down. Do whatever you want me to do. When you ask me, I don't care how many times you're breaking my heart. I'm just too weak to stay cool. Guess I'm a sucker for you. And I know it's complicated, but I hate being smart. So all the things that you do makes me a sucker for you. Guess I'm a sucker for you. Guess I'm a sucker for you. Making plans, don't show up. Baby, I don't mind keeping me waiting. Every night you're by my side. I know it's really worth every second. I don't mind what you do, what you do, what you do with me, baby. I'm so down. Do whatever you want me to do. When you ask me, I don't care how many times you're breaking my heart. I'm just too weak to stay cool. Guess I'm a sucker for you. And I know it's complicated, but I hate being smart. So all the things that you do makes me a sucker for you. Guess I'm a sucker for you.
Baby, I just don't get it. Do you enjoy being hurt? I know you smell the perfume, the makeup on his shirt. You don't believe his stories, you know that there are lies. Bad as you are, stick around, and I just don't know why. If I was your man, baby, you never worry about what I do. I'll be coming home back to you every night, doing you right. You're the type of woman, serve you things. It's full of diamond, handful of rings. Baby, you're a star, I just wanna show you why you should let me love you. Let me be the one to give you everything you own in me. Baby, good love and protection, make me your selection. Show you the way love's supposed to be. Baby, you should let me love you. Baby, you should let me love you. Baby, your beauty's description looks so good that it hurts. I know you're a dime girl, but you don't know what you're worth. And everywhere you go, they stop and stare. You better and it shows. From your head to toes, out of control. Baby, you know. If I was your man, baby, you never worry about what I do. I'll be coming home back to you every night, doing you right. You're the type of woman, serve you things. It's full of diamond, handful of rings. Baby, you're a star, I just wanna show you why you should let me love you. Let me be the one to give you everything you own in me. Baby, good love and protection, make me your selection. Show you the way love's supposed to be. Baby, you should let me love you. Baby, you should let me love. Yeah. Whoa, yeah. Me love. Yeah. Whoa, yeah.
Got your fingerprints on my skin. Ever since the day you let me in, I feel your vibes, they are circling. You cut so deep, cut so deep. Who needs love leaning to one side? We're free falling in the jungle lights. You have it all, got me on standby. You cut so deep, cut so deep. Cause I thought that the trust had gone. Didn't see this coming along. You made me a believer. You made me a believer. And now I'm shouting from the rooftop, baby. Tell me, will you come and save me? I'm shouting from the rooftop, baby. Come pick me up, come pick me up. Are you just a lover or my twin soul? Fire the shots and I need to know. I'm shouting from the rooftop, baby. Come pick me up, come pick me up. So my heart was so tight and numb. It got so sick, too much went wrong. You had that match and you let it strike. You cut so deep, cut so deep. Got your darts hitting my bullseye. Watching hope doing overtime. Keep me hanging all through the night. You cut so deep, cut so deep. Hey, I thought that the trust had gone. Didn't see this coming along. You made me a believer. You made me a believer. Oh, and was 2 a.m. on Melrose. We were drunk and talking too close. Could've sworn that I saw you fall. Oh, I know that it's hard to give up your cards and show me what's underneath. We all got our scars over our hearts, but that ain't gonna make me leave. Cause right now, I'm ready to love you. Right now, I'm ready to love you. We could put this thing to bed. We could get out of our heads. Cause right now, I'm ready to love you. 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 Yeah, we all got a history, but tonight's not a mystery. It's whatever we want it to be. Oh. Cause I can handle the pressure, and I could kiss for forever. Stick around and maybe then you'll see. I know that it's hard to give up your cards and show me what's underneath. We all got our scars over our hearts, but that ain't gonna make me leave. Cause right now, I'm ready to love you. Right now, I'm ready to love you. We could put this thing to bed. We could get out of our heads. Cause right now, I'm ready to love you. 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 What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? I'm ready to love you. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? I'm ready to love you. 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 I'm ready to love you.
Honey says she wants somebody to break her off proper. Man, she's so relentless, so nothing can stop her. Never left the city, but she swears she's a yardie. And cause it's so awesome how she moves her body. She do the sangria wine, sangria wine. Move side to side, front and behind. Sangria wine, sangria wine, sangria wine. Do the sangria wine.
Move my body like it is a Tutti frutti is all that I got. Counterclockwise, I'm mixing it up. Sip it, I bet that you glass. Yo sé que tú quieres mi cuerpo y quieres controlar mi mente y todo el mundo quiere ser dueño de ella, pero nadie puede.
Honey says she wants somebody to break her off proper. Man, she's so relentless, so nothing can stop her. Never left the city, but she swears she's a yardie. And cause it's so awesome how she moves her body. She do the sangria wine, sangria wine. Move side to side, front and behind. Sangria wine, sangria wine, sangria wine. Do the sangria wine.
the fruit at the top, 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 top. In Miami, where winters are high. Yo sé que tú quieres mi cuerpo y quieres controlar mi mente y todo el mundo quiere ser dueño de ella, pero nadie puede. Honey says she wants somebody break her off proper. Man, she's so relentless, so nothing can stop her. Never left the city, but she swears she's a yardie. 'Cause it's so awesome how I move my body.
She do the sangria wine, sangria wine. Move it side to side, front and behind. Sangria wine, sangria wine, sangria wine. Do the sangria wine.
¿Qué?
Hey, put your eyes wide shut. No more, no more.
I keep trying, nothing's working. I still wanna know if you're alone. I keep trying to put this behind me. I still wanna know who's taking you home. For tonight, I'm gonna get my mind up. It don't care that someone's got his hands all over my body. Stay out all night, go where the music's loud, so I don't have to think about it. I'm begging, please don't play no more sad songs, no more sad songs, no more sad songs. I'm begging, please don't play no more sad songs, no more sad songs, no more sad songs. I'm begging, please don't play no more sad songs. Dancing with danger, talking to strangers. Don't care where I go, just can't be alone. They'll never know me like you used to know me. No. For tonight, I'm gonna get my mind up. It don't care that someone's got his hands all over my body. Yeah, stay out all night, go where the music's loud, so I don't have to think about it. I beg you, please don't play no more sad songs, no more sad songs, no more sad songs. I beg you, please don't play no more sad songs, no more sad songs.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Litecoin Summit. It is absolutely wonderful to have you all here. My name is Naomi Brockwell, and I'm delighted to be the MC for this conference. And it's really, really exciting to see all of this build up towards the conference. I'm not sure if you caught John Kim's tour, the 30 for 30. Who caught that, all of the stuff he was doing? Awesome, really, really cool. He went through New York about a couple of weeks ago, a week ago, and I got to hang out with him, and I saw all of the awesome work he's doing just for spreading the word about cryptocurrency, especially spreading the word about Litecoin, all in preparation for today. And so I'm really grateful for you all to be here. We have really, really awesome lineup for you, some fantastic speakers, fantastic panels, all talking about like all different sectors of cryptocurrency with specifying, what word am I trying to look for? Specifying Litecoin, like how to integrate Litecoin into all these different platforms, security, payment processing, all that kind of stuff. So you're in for a treat, and especially in for a treat for our opening speaker today, as I'm sure you're all aware. Just some housekeeping things in case you are wondering. If you wanted to catch what's going on at the conference, or you wanted to tweet out any photos, we really recommend that. It's really great if people couldn't make it here today, that they can be keeping up with what's going on here. So the address on Twitter is LTC Foundation. sure you're all aware of that as well. But that's where you go if you want to be tagging people in pictures. The hashtag we're using is LTCSF for San Francisco 18. So make sure that you send out pictures, let everyone know. And if people couldn't make it and they really wanted to be here, we do have a live stream of the event going as well. So we have our wonderful camera crew at the back here who's been spreading the word about what's going on at the conference. You're going to find that at the Litecoin Foundation channel on YouTube. So go to YouTube, type in Litecoin Foundation channel, and that will come up. You can spread that link out. Also letting you know the website to go for any news about what's going on with Litecoin and all that is litecoin-foundation.org. So that keeps you up to date with all of the latest things. They have shop, they let you know all the merchants that accept. So if you are perhaps a merchant here who is accepting Litecoin and you want to be added to that, then make sure that you let them know there so you can be added to the list. And that is everything from me. I do want to get this started because we have some amazing people, as I mentioned before. So this next gentleman needs absolutely no introduction whatsoever. He is, of course, the creator of Litecoin, created it back in 2011 when hardly anyone knew anything about any kind of cryptocurrency, and he was creating his own. We, of course, have Charlie Lee. He serves as the managing director of the Litecoin Foundation, and he was the director of engineering for Coinbase from 2013 to 2017. Can you please give him a very warm welcome to the stage?
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks everyone for showing up to the first annual Litecoin Summit. Hopefully annual if I don't screw things up. I came dressed for the occasion. So first of all, I want to thank all the volunteers who put this event together. They're volunteers. I'm not paying them anything. So I'm really, really grateful for all the work they've done. Can you please, could all the volunteers stand up and show who you are? Thank you. There's still probably a few out there that's helping out right now that can't watch me talk, so that's unfortunate, but hopefully they can come in and switch out with other volunteers. So let's start. So I'm going to talk about 5 things today. First, I'm going to address my selling at all-time high. I'm sure everyone wants to know why I did that. Hopefully it'll be the last time I'm going to talk about that. Then I'm going to go over a little bit about the Litecoin's stats, statistics about what's going on with the Litecoin network and everything, mining stats. Talk about metrics of success. How do I define Litecoin being, whether or not Litecoin is successful? A little bit about the future development, and lastly, about how to achieve mass adoption. So let's start. So let me show you a meme I recently came across. So who's seen this meme on Twitter? So the first time I saw this, I was really upset. I mean, I'm like, it's been already 9 months and people are still trolling me about selling last December, and people just don't understand why I did it. But the more I look at it, the more I realized that it actually is really applicable. I really believe in Litecoin so much that I'm willing to sell everything. So I guess the first question people ask is, but then I don't have skin in the game, right? What if Mark Zuckerberg sold all his Facebook shares? What does that mean about Facebook? That means he doesn't believe in it, right? So why can I sell all my Litecoins and still believe in it? That doesn't make any sense. So I like to explain why, because Litecoin is not a company, right? For a company, the success of the company is tied one-to-one to the stock price of the company. So for someone like Mark Zuckerberg, if he wants Facebook to succeed, he works for his shareholders to increase the share price, right? But for Litecoin as a decentralized money, it really doesn't matter too much what the price is, as long as it's sound money. So if I'm focused on adoption for Litecoin, I'm not focused on the price. The price will go up, the price will do what the price does, but adoption is what I care about. So this is a comic I put together. So Litecoin to me is like my baby, right? I created it. If I had a son, I would want him to succeed in life, right? But does that mean I want to bet $1 million on his success of getting into like a college like MIT, right? So if you ask a parent, why don't they have skin in the game with their kids? Why don't they bet like $1 million that their kid will get into college? Well, there you see like the conflict of interest, right? You want the kid to succeed in life, but you don't necessarily need to have money on the line. Because when you do actually have money on the line, you potentially may have some conflict. The conflict is if, for example, if your kid's not doing well in school, because you have $1 million on the line, maybe you'll bribe the teacher so that they can get into the college that they can get to MIT, right? Is that good for the kid? No, but it's good for your pockets. So same reason why I don't need skin in the game for Litecoin, because I want Litecoin to succeed, right? If I have skin in the game, maybe I might do something that hurts Litecoin long-term adoption, but maybe it might line my pockets for the short term. So this is hard to explain to people, right? People don't understand because most people are in this for the money. So they don't understand why I would, like my conflict of interest explanation. So hopefully this kind of explains to people why I did this. And lastly, I sold all my Litecoins in December of last year, but I'm still using it, right? I still use it for purchases whenever I can. And to me, time is more valuable than money. I'm right now working full-time on Litecoin. And yeah, so I definitely have skin in the game because I'm basically working full-time now. And the good thing about me selling last December is that now I don't have to worry about money. So I can basically work on Litecoin for the rest of my life. Imagine if I didn't sell, and now I don't have any money anymore, and I have to go work for another company, and I can't spend my time focused on Litecoin. Now that would suck. Okay, so hopefully that answers everyone's questions about this. And if you see people still talking about me selling and how that I don't have skin in the game, I hope you can stand up and tell them why. So some Litecoin stats. So today, on a daily basis, there's on average like 30,000 transactions and about $300 million sent on using the Litecoin network. That's a lot of money being Litecoin used as money. And the average value of Litecoin sent is about $10,000, and the fees are still really low. It's still 5 cents. So Litecoin is acting as a really good form of money, right? It's censorship resistant, it's immutable, irreversible, it's counterfeit proof, and no one can devalue it. So that's what we're working towards, right? We're working towards a sound money that is that can be used without anyone telling you whether or not you can use that money for whatever purpose. And it's private. And no one can take your money away, and no one can print more Litecoins, not even I. If I try to print more Litecoins, it will be rejected by the network. So I won't even try. And let's talk about mining. The network hash rate is 257 terahash per second. Number of miners I've estimated to be about 500,000 individual ASIC miners. Total hardware costs, if you want to attack Litecoin, for example, it would cost $150 million of new hardware that someone has to purchase to 51% attack Litecoin. So that's a lot of money. And total electricity usage is about 400 megawatts. So if you compare that to the city of San Francisco uses about 650 megawatts. So the whole Litecoin network is effectively the amount of electricity usage of a large city. So people may say that that's wasteful, but you have to understand this energy usage is actually what's protecting the network. It's actually what's keeping Litecoin secure. So with proof of work, the more energy that is spent on securing Litecoin, the harder it is for any one person, one company, or one government to attack the coin. So with this stats, let's compare it to Bitcoin. So I don't know if you guys can see it, and you probably may need an MIT degree to understand what the hell is going on here. So Bitcoin's market cap is 34 times Litecoin's market cap. So Litecoin is still pretty small. But the number of transactions is only 8 times the number of transactions of Litecoin. And amount sent is 23 times. Average transaction value is 2.7 times. But what's most important about this is if you look at like the mining hash rate. So the total cost for the Bitcoin network in terms of total number of miners that's protecting the network is about 10 times more than Litecoin. So Litecoin is about 1/10 as secure as Bitcoin in that sense, right? It will take someone $1.3 billion worth of mining equipment to attack Bitcoin. For Litecoin, it's about 150 million. So, but the price is drastically different, much more than that, right? So I always see Litecoin as silver to Bitcoin's gold to kind of complement Bitcoin and help Bitcoin work with Bitcoin alongside Bitcoin to address the needs of sound money for the future. Yeah, so let's move on. If you guys have any questions about what I'm talking today, feel free to come up afterwards and just ask me about it. Or I think we're going to have a Q&A right after this, and you can feel free to ask me about it. So metrics of success. This is actually a slide that I put up 4 years ago when I talked about Litecoin. So this was before like the recent rise when Litecoin was like maybe $2 or $3. So I define success as these 5 things, right? First, the most important thing is you need network security. You need the network to be secure. You need the network to be robust. You need people to be able to use Litecoin without the network slowing down or transactions getting rejected or reversed. Second is eventually we'll need a high market capitalization. You need enough money to support the world, right? So if the coin is only worth like $20 million, the whole market cap, it's not enough money for everyone to use. And I think like 4 years ago, that was the market cap of Litecoin. Third is exchange liquidity. So you need the coin to have high liquidity so that people can transfer in and out from fiat, because we're still living in a fiat world today. Everything is priced in fiat, and that's not going to change for a while. So if merchants accept Litecoin and they want to pay out their suppliers, they still need to pay like US dollar or some other form of fiat. So you need high liquidity to support getting in and out of cryptocurrency. And then once we have good liquidity, we want merchant support, right? In the end, this is money, right? We want people to use Litecoin and Bitcoin as money. True, it's a good investment and speculative vehicle right now, but the end game is we want it to be sound money. So we want merchants accepting it, and lastly, we want people using it. So I always check back on these 5 stats to see how we're doing today. So let's take a look at it. So network security. If you can see this graph, it's actually a log graph. So if you look at it like a normal graph, then it will be exponential, right? So in a log graph, when it's linear, the normal graph will be exponential. So over the past 7 years of Litecoin's existence, the network hash rate has gone up, if you count, about like, let's see, so it was like 3 million, 330, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 orders of magnitude, right? So that is about 100 million times as secure as when Litecoin was first launched. So if you guys have been around since then, Litecoin was protected by CPUs when it was launched, and now it's protected by ASICs. So the security has gone up 100 million times. That's incredible. And yet, the block times has stayed at 2.5 minutes, right? So initially, you see the spikes. It's because people were CPU mining. Sometimes people leave. Sometimes people join the network. So there's some spikes initially. But once it became GPU mine and ASIC mine, it's very, very stable in terms of block times. On average, 2.5 minutes, blocks are found and transactions are confirmed. And Litecoin is one of the few networks that's had pretty much zero downtime. Once I launched it, it's been working kind of flawlessly since then. And thank you. I mean, and that's thanks to the design of Satoshi Nakamoto, right? He created something that is very innovative, and we replicated it with Litecoin, but it's something that's the world has never seen before, a decentralized network that gives us sound money. So so if we look at it, if you look at 4 years ago when I showed this slide, the hash rate was 1 terahash per second, and today it's about 250 terahash per second. So in 4 years, in the short time of 4 years, we have increased the network security by 250 times. Let's look at market capitalization now. So, I mean, I'm not going to talk a lot about price. You guys all know what we're going through right now. But if you look at the long term, this is also a log graph, right? So the price of Litecoin has increased exponentially since the beginning. And although we're in a bear market right now, if you just compare it to like a few years ago, we're actually on an upward trend. And that's all that matters, right? The actual day-to-day price isn't that important to people, to us who are working on just creating Litecoin as sound money. It doesn't matter what the price is. We hold it, we use it. That's the most important thing. So market capitalization since September, it was 150 million 4 years ago, and now it's $3 billion. So the market cap has increased by 20 times since 4 years ago. Next, we look at exchange liquidity. So today, Litecoin is on pretty much all the exchanges, right? So 4 years ago, I told people exchange liquidity is really important, and I'm working really hard to get Litecoin adopted and supported on all the Bitcoin exchanges. And I'm happy that right now, Litecoin is pretty much on all the exchanges. Ironically, the one exchange that Litecoin is not on is Gemini. And it so happens Gemini is the only exchange that is sponsoring this conference. Go figure, right? And also, I was looking at the number of the exchanges Litecoin is supported. It's actually on more exchanges than even Ethereum. It's because Litecoin has been around longer, and people realize the benefit of supporting Litecoin. And then we look at brokerages. So brokerages, my definition is just a way for people to buy and sell Litecoin that's easier without doing order books. So companies like Coinbase and Abra and Revolut and Robinhood make getting into crypto, having crypto exposure very easy, right? And I think this is really important. Right? It's good for people to trade on exchanges and provide liquidity, but it's much more important for people to be able to quickly and easily buy Litecoin. So who here has used one of these companies to get their Litecoins? Yeah, and without these companies, it's actually really hard to get access to Litecoin, right? A lot of the smaller coins out there, I mean, there's thousands of coins these days. It's really hard to actually get access to those coins because they're not on one of these big brokerages or not on a big exchange. So I think that's really important for a coin to succeed. And then we also have futures. A company in the UK, Crypto Facilities, recently started trading Litecoin futures. I think these things are also very important for liquidity, like futures, ETFs. These will come, and it's very important for kind of the consumers, for retail, for institutions to get into Litecoin and Bitcoin. I think these are important. So, and this is the graph of a daily trading volume for Litecoin for the past 4 years. Right? If you look at it, Litecoin trading volume was around 1 million 4 years ago. And it's increased quite a bit since then. So, and that shows how important, that really shows that Litecoin is really being traded and it's getting the liquidity that we need. So how's that in terms of numbers? So in September of 2014, the exchange liquidity was about 3 million daily traded, and now it's 300 million. So we've increased the liquidity by 100 times, and I hope that continues. Next, I'll talk about merchant support. So 4 years ago, when I gave a talk about Litecoin, we had pretty much only one merchant processor, which was GoCoin. So why is merchant processors important? So what these guys do is they help merchants accept Litecoin. Right? So if they make it very easy for merchants to add a button or to add another payment option, being Litecoin or Bitcoin or any other coins. And also, some of these also help merchants exchange for fiat for a fixed percentage, like maybe 1%. So this makes it very easy for a merchant to say, okay, I want to support crypto, but I don't understand or I don't know too much about the technology and I don't want to spend too much time trying to figure it out. So they partner with one of these merchant processors, which makes it very easy for them to accept Litecoin. So now we have, at least just from this slide, we have 9 merchant processors and more that really make merchants' job very easy to accept Litecoin. And some of these merchant processors are actually here in this room today. So thanks a lot for supporting Litecoin. And then yesterday I was trying to come up with all the list of merchants that accept Litecoin. There's just a lot, right? So some of these are a few of the bigger names that accept Litecoin. There's thousands of smaller merchants that accept Litecoin. And yeah, I think the key is that we want more and more merchants accepting Litecoin and Bitcoin and crypto in general, right? We want to be able to spend sound money. So yeah, so that's something that I'm really focused on these days, which is merchant adoption. And if you look at the numbers, payment processors went from 1 to 9 plus, so about 10 times increase. And it's impossible for me to count the number of merchants. Back then, in 2014, I counted 500 merchants supporting Litecoin. And today, it's just, yeah, it's in the hundreds of thousands, maybe. It's impossible to count. And I don't want to spend time counting. So it's just lots. And lastly, the fifth metric of success is currency usage. So it's great and all that with Litecoin being a secure network, being sound money, and having a lot of merchants supporting it. But if no one actually uses it for real-world usage of spending it as money, then what's the point, right? So in order for people to actually be able to spend Litecoin, you have to have easy-to-use Litecoin wallets. I've harped on this a lot. The user experience is really important for adoption. Right? Back when I first created Litecoin, you had to run a node on your computer. And that's good. That's great for geeks like me, but for average person, it's just impossible to actually run a node and understand what's going on. So desktop wallets like Exodus or Electrum and mobile wallets are really important for adoption. And now we have pretty much we have a lot of wallets that support Litecoin. And I think it's great. It makes it very easy for people to hold their Litecoin. But what's more important for Litecoin adoption, I think, it's hardware wallets, right? So a lot of these wallets, the security is not good. So in the end, in order for you to really have control of your own money, you have to be able to protect it, right? That's the thing that comes with freedom of money, which is what Litecoin and Bitcoin gives. You have freedom of money to spend however you want, but in the end, you don't have a bank to help you protect it. And you don't want a bank to help you protect it, right? Initially, maybe to make it easy, you might use a crypto bank to help you protect your coins. But I think in order for Litecoin to really succeed, people have to have control of their own money. So hardware wallets like Trezor, Ledger Nano S, KeepKey, and Cool Wallets are what really kind of is the next step for people controlling their own money. And just yesterday, we announced a partnership with Cool Wallet. The Litecoin Foundation announced a partnership. We created this new hardware wallet that's a credit card shape size that lets you store your coins on a hardware wallet, But when you want to spend it, it's really easy because it connects to your phone via Bluetooth, and you can use your phone to spend the money. So I think things like this, like moving towards better user experience, is really important for adoption. And actually, Cool Wallet is here today, and they're selling these Cool Wallets for $99 at the booth. So if you want to go check one out, feel free to do so after my talk, of course. And yeah, I think I have one in my pocket right now. I use it whenever I can, and it's really cool. Hence the name Cool Wallet. Yeah, check it out. And all the profits for this Cool Wallet and any other merchandise goes towards the Litecoin Foundation. And as you guys all know, the Litecoin Foundation is a nonprofit. We make money from merchandises, from donation, and we basically spend all that money on developers and just helping Litecoin, help Litecoin adoption. So who here remembers the LitePay fiasco of this year? Yeah, so LitePay, we were very excited about LitePay last year when they, or actually maybe it was earlier this year, beginning this year, when they announced that they're gonna create a Litecoin debit card and also a payment processor focused on Litecoin. So I think we got overly excited, and people got really excited about it, but then the company failed and they didn't deliver, right? So then we realized that we actually don't need LitePay, right? We have these are 8 different debit cards that support Litecoin, either today or will do so in the future. Who actually has used a Litecoin debit card today? So we have a few. I think debit cards are really cool where kind of the purpose is you have your wealth in Litecoin or Bitcoin and you want to spend it. So if merchants don't accept it, you use a debit card that is backed by Litecoin. So when you swipe, it sells your Litecoin for fiat and spends it right there. So merchants don't even realize that they're actually supporting Litecoin when you're using these debit cards. And it's kind of a stepping stone to native Litecoin transactions, right? So when you use a debit card, you don't get the benefits of using Litecoin, right? It's not censorship resistant, it's not immutable, but it's halfway there. So hopefully we'll get merchants to accept Visa and then accept Litecoin that way, and eventually those merchants will realize people are actually spending Litecoin and will accept Litecoin natively. So then we look at some stats. This is the transactions graph, transaction counts. So if you look at it, we went from 2,000 transactions a day to about 20,000 transactions a day, so about 10 times increase in the past few years. This is sent in USD amount, so how much money is actually moved, right? What's important for money is that people are actually moving value, right? It's all about transfer of value. If you have a huge number of transactions, but you're not actually moving money, then it doesn't matter, right? It's about moving money. So a few years ago, the amount was about 10 million moved a day, and now we're close to 100 million moved a day. So it's also about a 10 times increase. And then I like to look at this stat, active addresses. So there's really no way to tell how many people are actually using Litecoin. You can look at transactions, but sometimes a transaction can be represented by more than one user. Sometimes one user can do a lot of transactions. But active addresses is like unique addresses that are in use for that day. And this is kind of a good proxy for how popular this coin is. So as we look at the history, this is also a log graph. I'm always showing like log graphs, and it's a linear increase. So this means it's actually exponentially increasing. The number of people using Litecoin is just increasing exponentially. And then this is another interesting stat for block size. So we're not running into a block size limit right now, which is good. We have a lot of headroom, but it shows that Litecoin is being used more and more, and that's what's most important. So put this all together, we see that transaction has increased about 7 times, amount sent has increased about 20 times, active addresses and block size increased about 6 to 7 times. So, and this is just the past 4 years, right? So we're increasing like orders of magnitude every few years. And if you look at all this, and you think, basically, as a recap, you're seeing like Litecoin is really although the price may not show it, adoption is really happening, like on all levels. And that's what I'm focused on, right? That's what I care about. So future development. I think the most important thing for Litecoin is that it's sound money, right? So what do I mean by that? So are we building like PayPal 2.0? No, right? We're not building something that can handle a lot of transaction throughput that can be used for daily payment. That's good, right? But what we're actually building is sound money. So by sound money, we're talking about a new form of money that cannot be censored, right? No one can block you from spending. That cannot be reversed. Once I sent the money to you, once it's confirmed, no one can actually reverse that payment, unless, of course, the recipient decides to give it back, right? It's money that cannot be counterfeited, so you can't just create Litecoin out of thin air. And also, it's money that cannot be devalued. For the same reason, you can't create Litecoin out of thin air. No one can actually change the inflation of Litecoin, right? With fiat money, we've seen like quantitative easing a few years ago, where the government just prints more and more fiat. We see that with like currencies like the Venezuelan currency, where the currency is going through hyperinflation, right? But with sound money like Litecoin and Bitcoin, we won't see that because no one can actually just create money and devalue the money you have. So if you have Litecoin in your wallet today, you realize that it's something that just no one can take it away from you, no one can devalue it, and no one can prevent you from spending. And that's actually a really powerful idea, right? We've actually never had something like this previously. So thanks to the innovation and genius of Satoshi Nakamoto, he created something that never existed before. And that's what we want, that's what we're building towards, right? We want to keep Bitcoin and Litecoin as sound money. So, and that's why, I don't know if you guys are aware, last year when there's this whole debate about SegWit and SegWit 2x, people just figured out that what actually made Bitcoin and Litecoin valuable is a sound money property. It's not because it can compete with PayPal and Visa. Sure, we'll be able to do that with future advances like Lightning Network and other off-scale solutions. But in the end, we have to realize what's most important is sound money. So that's why I keep Litecoin as close to Bitcoin as possible, because that's Bitcoin's goal, and we agree that's the goal to have. And it's also important to keep the network robust and secure. In terms of scaling, I talked about Lightning Network, previously talked about atomic swaps, being able to convert your Litecoin to Bitcoin and vice versa via Lightning Network in a decentralized way where it happens or it doesn't happen. And then there's things like Schnorr signatures, which helps us scale and also helps with privacy. And lastly, I want to talk a bit about fungibility and privacy. So fungibility is a property of money that it's something that Litecoin and Bitcoin is lacking today. So what do I mean by that? Right now, if you're spending your Litecoin, you have an option to choose which Litecoin to spend, right? So it's an option that that's nice to have, but it also is very limiting. What I mean by that is, for example, if you got paid in Litecoin, you got like $10,000, let's say, as your paycheck in Litecoin. If you spend that Litecoin, that transaction output, and send it to someone, then they will then know that you have $10,000 worth of Litecoin. They can also go back and track and try to figure out how much money you actually have. This is actually a pretty bad property of Litecoin, right? It's something that, even if you're not doing anything illegal, financial privacy is very important, right? You want to be able to spend money without worrying about people seeing your finances. So as an example, if you're spending $1 right now, you have two $20 bills in your wallet. Does it matter which one you use? It doesn't, right? Because you can't track it. It's actually really hard to track. And it doesn't matter if one was used in a transaction to purchase drugs by someone else. But with Litecoin today, if you, for example, send some Litecoin to someone, and it was used for, previously it was used for some illicit reason, you may be blocked or you may be censored. And this is something that's pretty bad for money. So hopefully we're working towards something that would solve this. Things like confidential transaction where it hides the amount, and other privacy developments I think is really important in order for Litecoin and Bitcoin to really truly become sound money where there's no difference between one Litecoin versus another. So all this obviously is still up in the air. Like confidential transactions and other privacy features are actually pretty controversial, right? So in order to work with the legacy financial systems, we have to comply with the KYC AML laws. So things like confidential transaction could make transactions more private, which I believe is a good thing, but also makes it harder to track. So we kind of have to work with the regulators to figure out what's kind of the right middle ground. So it's not for sure that we're going to add confidential transactions, but it's definitely one of the things that we're looking into. So lastly, I want to talk about adoption. All right, so this is one of the tweets I made a while ago. A lot of people come to me and say, like, please pump the price of Litecoin. Help me make more money. And I tell them, like, don't ask what Litecoin can do for you, right? Ask what you can do for Litecoin. I think Litecoin is, to me, it's decentralized money. It's the people's money, right? It's not my money, it's everyone's money. So instead of asking what I can do for Litecoin, you should actually all go out there to help Litecoin succeed, right? By that, yeah, it's not, so I don't necessarily mean like go out there and just buy Litecoin, right? Buying Litecoin is one thing that helps the price, but what's most important is actually get people to actually use it, right? So people today, when they use Litecoin and Bitcoin, they may not actually understand what's so good about it, right? Maybe it's complicated to use, the price is really volatile, but once people actually get past that and see what it means to actually have freedom of money, then they will realize what it's all about, right? I bet like half the crowd here may not even understand that fully, right? What's freedom of money? Most people in this space are in it just to speculate on the price. So I want people to actually get past that point, right? Get past the speculation, the investment point of cryptocurrency, and truly understand that what we're building is sound money. And freedom money, having money that just can't be devalued, can't be taken away from you, is really important. And it's something that I think it might take a generation for people to realize what this all means. So what I ask for you guys is to go out there, tell your friends about it, try to explain to them what it's all about, try to convince merchants to accept it, and spend it wherever you can. Although I'm not invested in Litecoin, I still spend Litecoin. Right? I have some Litecoin for daily use. I use it wherever I can, and if I don't have enough, I'll just buy some. And that's kind of the idea, right? I want Litecoin to be real world, global, decentralized money. And we have this site, paywithlitecoin.co. If you're trying to convince a merchant to accept Litecoin, point them to this site. The Litecoin Foundation created this website to really help people understand what this is all about, how it's easy to accept Litecoin. So help us use the hashtag paywithlitecoin and help this movement, right? So that's it. Thanks. So can you put the last slide back up again? If you want the slides, you can get it from the link on my last slide. No, the next one. So it's this one, bit.ly/LTC-summit. So you can grab the slides from there. So I think we have some Q&A. If anyone has any questions. Do we have a mic?
Charlie, I can talk loud.
Okay.
For the first one.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I love the fact of the cryptos and the security and all that's going on with that. What are some of the unique challenges?
Testing. There we go.
So with the security of the coins, what are the challenges that you're running into with the regulators? Because I know that's a a razor's edge to walk down, to have the security, but also be able to meet their whatever regulations they put in place. So can you talk a little bit about that challenges and what you guys are trying to do? Because I know some coins like Monero, Litecoin, they've solved that, but I'm not sure they're going to be accepted as we move down the road.
Yeah, so it's definitely a challenge, right? So one cool thing about Bitcoin and Litecoin is that transactions are actually public, right? So you can actually track crypto better than you can track fiat today. So in terms of regulation, right now, it's actually easier to regulate cryptocurrency than it is to regulate fiat currency. So I think it's people are trying to figure out what's the right amount of regulation, right? And also coins like Monero, Zcash, they're going towards like more privacy, which I think is important. So it's definitely going to be interesting. We recently saw that Gemini started supporting Zcash, which was a huge surprise to me, given that Zcash is a privacy-centric coin. So maybe when Erica of Gemini is on stage today, you can ask him about it, like why they decided to, how they were working with regulators about that. But from my point of view, like from the developer's point of view, what's more important for us is the network, right? I want to make sure the network is robust and secure. And we have other companies working with regulators on how to work with regulators. And I'm less on that side of things.
I got a quick
one. Okay, yeah, whoever has the mic.
Well, I recently read that you guys, the Litecoin Foundation, purchased a percentage of a Swiss bank, 9.9% to be exact, and you guys are aiming towards buying more shares of that bank. And how is that gonna influence changes, and how is that gonna modify the view of Litecoin, knowing that now you have the backing of a bank behind it, which is kind of great?
Yeah, so we purchased 9.9% stake in a German bank. The idea is that we're just trying different things, and one is to go the route of a regulated bank and see if we can offer innovative crypto solutions via that route. And we're actually not going to be purchasing more of that bank. TokenPay, our partner, may purchase more of that bank. And actually, Derek Capel, the CEO of TokenPay, will be talking either later today or tomorrow, I forgot when. You can ask him more about it. There's definitely some development with the bank agreement.
It's very interesting. It's really interesting. I definitely
we'll see. We'll see where that goes, right? So there's we're just trying different ways to help adoption.
I think that's awesome.
Check. We got one right over here. I got one right here.
Could I?
Go ahead and ask him.
Yes. What's your advice for the software engineer entering the space today?
My advice for software engineers entering the space is to actually just get their hands on with writing Bitcoin, Litecoin code. So read more about it. The thing about the development of cryptocurrency is interesting because it's quite hard to work on cryptocurrency code, because most people don't realize it, but we're trying to keep the network, we're trying to improve the network, improve the code, but we don't want to screw up where there's like a split or a fork, right? If you screw up, it's all about reaching consensus, right? Every block that we find with Litecoin, if half of the network thinks this is a valid block, the other half thinks the other one is a valid block, and then disagree, and they split up, it's something that's really hard to reconcile. So writing consensus level code for blockchain is really important. It's kind of like writing software for a rocket ship. If you screw up, it's going to blow up, right? So this is something that's hard, but definitely encourage people to learn more about it. Andreas Antonopoulos has a cool book about mastering Bitcoin. I think it's it's really cool. It's really good information. So read up on that and just play around with it.
Okay. Like you were saying, so fungibility is very important. So to play both sides from a regulation standpoint and the privacy standpoint, do you think there's a way to implement, you know, an opt-in privacy, opt-out when you're, you know, for those, when you're spending money, you don't need to show them, right? You can opt out. Is there a way to do something like that?
There is. Like the confidential transaction upgrade for Litecoin will be opt-in. And if you send a transaction to an exchange, for example, they could require you to show them the view key so they can see how much is sent. And this is definitely something that could work. And I mean, that's also why I believe Gemini can support Zcash, because you can do that with Zcash where not all transactions are hidden. And so there's definitely room for that. One thing that's interesting is with coins like Monero, for example, where everything is private, it's an interesting take where nothing is open, right? So if you actually played around with Monero, you can't see anything. And that's cool. But maybe regulators won't like that because they still want to be able to track your transactions. So I guess we have to figure out what's the right direction to take Litecoin, right? If we go the Monero route, then it will be much harder to work with regulators. But yet I still wanted to have more fungibility and more privacy. So it's work in progress.
Hello. Yeah, I have two questions. First, you know, SEC has explicitly stated that Bitcoin and Ethereum are commodities. However, they didn't say Litecoin is a commodity. So, you know, that means maybe Litecoin could be a security. Could you comment on that part? That's question one. The question two is, I agree that like the money, right, cryptocurrency is better than fiat currency. However, there are a lot of competitors for Litecoin, like Bitcoin is a competitor of Litecoin, right? How do you, what's the value proposition of Litecoin? Is it more a store of value or is more for daily usage? Let's say if it's for store of value, it's not a good competitor compared to Bitcoin. If it is for daily of usage, actually, you don't support big volume transactions, right? You have to use the Lightning Network to support that. Once you use the Lightning Network, the underlying coin doesn't matter, right? People could use Bitcoin more than Litecoin. So how overall, like, how do you compete in the market with other coins?
Oh, that's a long question. Can you repeat your first question?
The first question is whether Litecoin should be considered as a commodity or security.
Yeah, so I mean, Litecoin is really similar to Bitcoin, so it's definitely not a security. And I mean, I think different regulatory bodies will treat Litecoin differently. Like Bitcoin, for example, has been treated as a security. Been treated as a commodity and also a property. So I don't know what Litecoin will be treated as. It's kind of like it's a new asset class, right? So I think people are still trying to figure it out. But it's definitely not a security. I don't think the government will come down on Litecoin as a security. To your second question, so I see Litecoin as finding a special niche in terms of being like complementing Bitcoin. So I think what's most important is that it's a good store of value, right? It's sound money, but we can, it can be cheaper. It can be more used for payments on chain when compared to Bitcoin. So I still find like there's room for a coin like Litecoin where we kind of complement Bitcoin. And in the end, if we really want it to be used for daily payments for everything, like you said, it will be on Lightning Network. And I think even on Lightning Network, payments via Litecoin will still be cheaper. So I don't know exactly what direction we're gonna go, but Litecoin is always gonna be a cheaper on-ramp to the Lightning Network. and cheaper and faster, right? It's 2.5 minutes. It's much cheaper in fees. So to get onto the Lightning Network, which supports both Bitcoin and Litecoin, it's cheaper to use Litecoin. And transactions potentially could be cheaper for microtransactions on Litecoin versus on Bitcoin. So all this is still work in progress. Elizabeth Stark of Litecoin, of Lightning Network will be on stage later today. Feel free to ask her that.
Over here on your left. One question.
We only got time for like one more quick
Okay,
question.
one more question. We're running late.
Cool. I think the possibilities that come from atomic swaps are fascinating. Can you talk a little bit about that and your ideal end state of how Bitcoin and Litecoin will interact with each other on atomic swaps?
Sure. So atomic swap is the idea where someone has some Bitcoin and someone has some Litecoin, and they want to kind of trade in a decentralized way where person A cannot steal from person B and vice versa. And via Lightning Network, you can do that. You can atomically swap from one coin to another instantly without the ability for anyone to steal or block that kind of swaps. So it's a decentralized manner. So what that means is both Bitcoin and Litecoin are on the Lightning Network. If a merchant is accepting Bitcoin, I can send them Litecoin through Lightning Network and get converted on the fly to Bitcoin, and the recipient will receive Bitcoin, and vice versa. So what does this mean for the future? I think in the end game is that all users care about is sending value. They don't need to care about what the underlying protocol is. Right? So whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's Litecoin, whether it's Lightning Network, you don't really need to care. Just like how people who use credit cards today, you don't care and want to care which banks or which institutions have to approve this credit card purchase, right? All you care about is the value gets transferred and you get your merchandise. And I like to see Bitcoin and Litecoin go towards that direction also. So the user experience is very important where actually you're spending money, you don't care which protocol it's using. Okay, thank you. If you have any more questions, just come find me. I'll be here all day today and tomorrow. Thank you.
If you did want to chat more with Charlie, he is also going to be at the Mixer tonight. So if you already... Oh, goodness me. By the way, can I just have a disclaimer there? I'm only Bitcoin girl because when I first became Bitcoin girl, Litecoin didn't exist. So just saying, just saying. But we do have a Mixer tonight. If you don't have tickets, they are still available for purchase. Just go to the registration desk and Charlie will be around for that, as well as being around all day. So make the most of all these awesome speakers that are here and ask them all of your questions. Up now for our next keynote, we have Willy Wang from Abra. Willy Wang is the VP of Product and Engineering at Abra, and prior to this, he served as the VP and Senior VP of Engineering at eHealth Inc. He also served as the VP of Engineering for CollabNet, Cadesian, and was the CEO and founder of Emergence Software. Can you please give him a very warm welcome to the stage?
Thank you, Naomi. Good morning. It's great to be here. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for having me. So today, what I want to talk about is how it is possible to actually have an open, global, and accessible crypto bank. And that is about to come to reality, so I want to talk about that. Okay. Give me a second here. They gotta get the right slides. We good? All right, thank you. So now let's first imagine that we're in August 2022. And let's imagine what's actually possible. And we're banking with crypto again.
It's high tech, it's tough.
It's this one. Okay, got it. All right, that was my fault, not his. So I just want to be transparent with you guys. All right, we're in 2022, and let's imagine what is actually possible. So in a place where there's unreliable electricity or very little electricity, we now have a student that actually has a solar device that at night he can actually continue his studies, homework, schoolwork. And this is actually possible right now. There's actually a device that exactly does this. It's actually called M-Copa. It's actually used by over 1 million homes in Africa and all over the world. Now imagine that this family is unbanked, has no access to financial institution, but you know what? Everybody has mobile phones, right? They all have cell phones, they all have mobile devices. You can actually buy this right now in the store via cash or essentially using cash to buy this device. But what if this is not very affordable for that user? And what would be affordable would be some type of leasing capability, where through an internet device, you pay a leasing payment on a weekly basis. And if you don't pay the payment, then the device actually shuts off. Okay? Now, how is this actually possible if you were to roll this out over 100 countries, anywhere, anybody can use this, even if you don't have a bank? All right? So this is actually possible. So you could see the TechCrunch tagline to be something like global available solar pay-as-you-go device that's available in 100 different countries, for example. Now let's use another example. What about investing? How do you do micro-investing for anyone, anywhere, on any asset class via your mobile device? Okay? How would that be possible? You can invest in stocks, cryptocurrencies, and for someone, let's say, that's outside the US, they could even invest directly into the Dow Jones Index. Would that be possible? Okay? Now, we're in a crypto conference, so you guys already know what the answer is, right? So this is way in the future. And again, the tagline would look something like global availability of micro-investing to over 100 countries. Now, I would suggest that there are 3 key features that makes this possible. First, the solution has to be globally available. It has to offer a stable store of value, right? So if you currently look at even Bitcoin and Litecoin, there's a lot of volatility. Well, how do you use that for payment? When the prices can change within an hour, 10%. I mean, how do you use that to buy a cup of coffee or any of these things, right? And the third, it's got to be internet-based. And so to make this a reality, what we really need is a open, global, and accessible crypto banking infrastructure that actually allows this to actually happen. Okay? So now let me actually talk about macroeconomics and how the macroeconomic force could actually make this happen, actually bring about this global crypto bank into reality. So what I have here is a history of the list of huge hyperinflation as well as currency devaluation that's happened in the past. And the most recent one, we're just going through it right now, not here in the US, but it's actually happening in Venezuela for that country, right? They just hugely devalued their currency. And in the case of Zimbabwe, which has also happened in the last few years, you could see that there's a direct correlation between the amount of money supply and inflation and also hyperinflation. And Charlie actually mentioned this, right? In the US, we're doing exactly the same thing. So through what's called the quantitative easing, we have exponentially increased our money supply in the last several years. Now, I find it really funny because a lot of the detractors of crypto always criticize cryptocurrencies or virtual currencies, saying, hey, you guys are just making money out of thin air, right? Yeah, that's true. We're making money through code and programs. But guess what? Our central bank is actually doing an even better job at making money out of thin air in faster pace. This is measured in trillions of dollars, right? So they're actually doing a great job there. Now, we all know that this happens when the US actually got off of the commodity standard, okay? Where they based the money supply based on a hard currency called gold, right? So this is the gold standard the commodity standard that was based on. And that happened in the 1970s. And once that happens, you will see that the dramatic increase in the money supply. Now, we all know that this is not going to end well. Now, I'm not here to talk about politics and so on and so forth, but at some point, this is not going to end well, and I don't know when or where. I'm not here to predict it, but someone has to pay for all this at the end of the day, okay? So I believe, and we believe here at Abra, that this macroeconomic force could actually give rise to a new commodity standard, right? So when the next crisis comes, maybe in the US or somewhere else, there's a huge potential that a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or potentially Litecoin or some other could become the new commodity standards, the digital gold, so to speak, that keeps the value of the other fiat currencies or assets. So this is an example of how this global crypto bank could actually come about through a macroeconomic force, okay? So at Abra, we believe that just as internet is going to revolutionize all these different industries that you see, Amazon in terms of bookstore, they're eating up all the retail stores, Netflix for movie rentals, we got Spotify, all these great companies in publishing, right? So what the internet did is it democratizes communication, made it very cheap globally, everywhere, it's easy to use. Well, we believe that blockchain is going to do the same thing. The blockchain will democratize transactions, and specifically financial transaction, and make it eventually, maybe not right now, but eventually cheaply enough so that it will be globally available, peer-to-peer, based on top of the current internet protocol. And Charlie mentioned it will be very hard to stop, right? The only way to do it is for China to build this great firewall. And guess what? You can still get around it. Okay? So this is what we believe. Now, I know that many of you here are thinking, okay, Willie, we heard all this before, right? All the crypto diehards like saying, oh, this will happen. But guess what? It's been 10 years. It's not happening, or it's not happening as fully as we want. Why is that? How does that work? Well, I'm no oracle, so I don't know for sure, but let me offer you a couple of thoughts. Internet started in 1973. Ethernet got started, okay? Now, the way Ethernet works is it actually connects the computers on essentially a single network. Now, in legacy Ethernet, you transfer a single data packet to all nodes on the network. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that, let's say you want to send an image. When you send that image just to one computer, it actually has to send that image to every single computer on the network. Okay? That's called broadcast. Okay? Now, essentially, Bitcoin, Litecoin, right now in its current stage, works pretty much exactly the same way. When you have a new block on Bitcoin or Litecoin, we actually broadcast that block to every single Litecoin nodes and Bitcoin nodes out there. That's what's happening. So if you were to go to the founder or the inventors of Ethernet, legacy Ethernet, and ask him, you know what, can you scale this to billions of devices all over the world? They're going to say, no, 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 that's not going to be possible. Okay? And so similarly, from a scale perspective, we have some scale limitation on both Litecoin and Bitcoin as well as other blockchains. Well, guess what? It took 10 years for TCP/IP to come about. So TCP/IP is the internet protocol that is the foundations of everything you're doing today, whether you're calling on the phone using voice over IP, you're serving the internet. That's the foundation. It took 10 years for that to happen. What TCP/IP does is take a single packet of data And it's able to send it from point to point to point to different nodes. And because of this foundation, you're actually going to be able to have billions of devices all talking to each other. Okay? Now, interestingly enough, in about a 10-year period, the whole Lightning technology is actually coming to play. And I would love to hear Elizabeth later on to talk about the Lightning and all the different payment channels. And in fact, in 2017, the first Lightning payment channel was started on Litecoin, roughly about 10-year period. Okay? And I would say this whole Lightning, as well as other projects similarly, essentially is the TCP/IP for the internet. And that is going to bring about scalability and much higher transaction throughput and value for the whole blockchain space. Now, take another 10 years forward. That's when the World Wide Web actually became about, when you actually have websites and so on and so forth, roughly. And then also Netscape was born to commercialize the Mosaic browser, and therefore we can serve the web as we know it today. Now, I don't know what the next 10 years is going to bring about, but I will suggest to you that the blockchain is similar to the internet in terms of its technology prowess, and I believe that we will reach that internet moment. But this is a marathon and not a sprint. And if you look at the internet that took 30 years to get to where we're at, now we have Facebook, we have Google, and so on and so forth. I believe the same thing will happen to the blockchain. But it's probably going to take that trajectory. It may be shorter, who knows? But this is what I can offer in terms of when I think it's going to happen. So how do we get there practically? What's going to happen in the next 10 years? What is it going to look like? So next, what I want to do is talk a little bit about practically of what's happening today that's actually going to give the rise of this open, global, accessible crypto bank. Now, this open, global, accessible crypto bank, this whole platform infrastructure, is going to power three aspects. The first one is investing. This is actually happening right now. That is why all the centralized exchanges out there, as well as a lot of the other type of exchanges, are very successful. They're making a lot of money. So investing is already happening, whether it's speculation or investment, right? And I want to talk a little about decentralized investing. Cross-border payments and payments is in progress. There is no massive adoption at the moment, but it will happen. It's in progress and happening. And also, consumer asset finance will also happen on top of the blockchain. And there's so many great companies that are here that are working towards this problem, and I'm so glad we're all doing it together. So let me today focus just on decentralized investing, because I don't have time to talk about cross-border payments and consumer asset financing. And also, there's a bunch of other companies that's going to talk today about specifically about the payment space. So decentralized investing, I define it as anyone, anywhere, with a mobile device, can invest in any asset class. And that's the power of using investing on top of the blockchain. And this is the mission of Abra. This is what we're working on every day and try to bring about for people globally to be able to actually do this decentralized investing. So how does it work? Now, remember early on I talked about how the features of the prerequisites of having this global crypto bank. The stable store value is able to basically peg a particular cryptocurrency to a USD that's stable. So you basically hedge away the volatility. Okay? And so this is the concept of what's called stable coins. Okay? And there's a lot of companies that's currently working on stable coins to allow for stable value. Because without it, it's very hard to do payments. It's very hard to do lending and transaction because there's too much volatility in the underlying asset. Okay? Now, there are three different ways generally to actually create these stable coins. The first way is a fiat collateralized pathway to actually do stable coin. So if you heard of Tether, you heard of True USD, this is how they do it. So on a high level, for example, for Tether, what they do is, for one Tether token, they basically say it is stable and pegged to 1 USD. Now, how can you trust that Tether token, it is actually in fact 1 USD? What they say that we go and buy 1 USD and we'll put it in some trust somewhere or escrow somewhere. And this is why there's a lot of articles talking about, is that really true? How do we know that they're actually buying the US dollar, right? So this is more of a centralized way to actually manage the stable coin. True USD similarly, but they claim that they're more transparent, more auditing, and so on and so forth. So that's one way to create a stable coin. The second way is what's called a crypto collateralized. And this is how Abra actually creates a stable coin, which I will go into in detail how we do it. You also have DAI is also using this method, different than Abra, but using crypto. The basic concept here is that if you hold USD, what we're actually doing is Abra is actually giving you a crypto to represent the value of USD. Okay? So that's how it works in terms of how Abra does it. And finally, there's non-collateralized. And usually, this is some type of algorithm that actually manages the stablecoin. So if you look at the Abra app, and feel free to download it, we offer the exchanges of 28 cryptocurrencies as well as 50 fiat currencies. So when you first use the Abra app, it's just like using a lot of different trading sites, E-Trade or something else. The first thing you do is you actually move your money, let's say from your Wells Fargo Bank of America account, into the Abra app, right? And once you move the money to an account, then you can go and buy Google stock or Facebook stock and so on and so forth. So in the same way, you transfer your money into the Abra app. Now, Abra is unique in the sense that we are a non-custodial wallet, in the sense that we're not touching your money. The private key, which controls who can access and spend your money, is actually held on your mobile device. It's not held in some bank that we have. We're not holding the coins for you. We're not holding your private key. So it is actually on your phone. And so that's why we need to have stable coins, because when you actually transfer money into Abra and you first hold in USD, that has to be stable and pegged to the value of the USD so that you can then use it to buy other cryptocurrencies or other assets on the Abra phone. So for Abra, all of the fiat currencies that we offer, whether it's USD, pesos, are all in a stable coin that's pegged to the relative value of those currencies. And for the cryptocurrencies, we also, for some of them, use the concept of the stablecoin to actually create these synthetic cryptocurrencies. So for example, when you actually buy Monero on the Abra platform, we're actually using another cryptocurrency to represent the value of Monero in that example. So not all of the cryptocurrencies are native. They are using this concept of stablecoin. Okay? Now I'm going to go and talk in detail how we create these synthetic assets, and then explain why this is so important about bringing about the global crypto bank. All right, so how does this work? Now, I know I'm going to get lots of questions on this, and I'm not going to have a Q&A session after the talk, so feel free to find me after the conference. I'll be here all day if you have any specific questions on this, okay? So right now, Abra can, we use both Bitcoin as well as Litecoin for collateral. And in this example, let's assume from a math perspective, make it simple, one Litecoin is $200. This is the good old days when Litecoin is still at that value. It will return, but this is just a couple of months ago, all right? So the first thing you do is I'm going to transfer $200 USD from my Wells Fargo account into the Abra app. Why do I want to do that? Because I want to then use that $200 in the Abra app to buy Litecoin, or to buy Monero, or to buy Bitcoin. That's why I'm doing this, okay? So I transfer $200 USD to the Abra account. So what happens at that moment? At that moment, what happens is we take your $200, we actually exchange it for one Litecoin. And we will put that Litecoin onto your phone, on the private key on your phone. Okay, this is not, we don't carry it, we don't store it, we don't touch your money. So it is on your phone now. You got one Litecoin. Okay? That Litecoin enters into what we call a multi-sig contract. Okay, this is part of our smart contract technology that keeps your money safe, as well as making this all work. So now you got one Litecoin on your phone that represents the value of $200 US. Okay, so park that idea away for a second. Now separately, what we do on the Abra side to make sure that irregardless of the price movement of Litecoin in terms of volatility, at the end of this scenario, everybody's happy. We go out and we borrow one Litecoin. We borrow that one Litecoin and we sell it for $200 USD, and we store that USD somewhere, okay, in an escrow or in a trust. Now, you as a user have $200 USD on your phone, okay? And you can now buy Monero, buy Litecoin, buy Bitcoin, or at some point you may want to withdraw that USD back into your bank account. So I'm going to talk about how that happens. So when I withdraw that $200 USD out of my Abra wallet, well, guess what? Litecoin price dropped 20%. So now, Litecoin is at $160. And you're only holding one Litecoin. But before you had 200, now you have 160. Well, how does that work? How do we make sure you're whole? Okay? So when you withdraw the money into your bank account, what happens is Abra will actually give you 0.25 of Litecoin. So you now have 1.25 Litecoin. And when you sell that 1.25 Litecoin, that equates to $200 USD. You withdraw it, put it in your bank account, you're good. Now you may be asking, wait, so that doesn't make sense because Abra is just giving free Litecoin to people, right? Well, remember earlier I talked about how we borrowed one Litecoin, we sold it for $200? Well, at the same moment, what we'll do is we'll take that USD $200, we can now buy 1.25 Litecoin. Okay? And then we take that 1.25 Litecoin, the 0.25, we gave it to you already, we made you whole, you're happy, right? And the other one Litecoin plus interest, we'll give it back to the lender. Lender's happy. Abra's happy because you came in, you bought some Litecoin or Monero, transacting in our system. Everybody's happy. Okay? So this is how we use a crypto collateralized method to actually create the stablecoin. And the reason it's called crypto collateralized is because we're actually giving you a crypto that represents the value of something else. In this case, US dollars. Okay? So that's how the whole system works. Now, what I have explained so far is the simplest example of how to hedge away the risk and volatility of the crypto so that there's possible to have a stable coin. Now, there are very many different ways to actually do this. You could do it via a futures market. You could do it from a lot of different ways. So this is not necessarily exactly what we do, but I just want to explain this in a way that at least you have a high-level concept of how this all works. All right, so what do we learn here? And how does this give rise to a global crypto bank? Well, let's think about this. Number one, what I just talked about is that crypto can now represent another asset. Now let's think about that for a moment. We took crypto and made it represent USD. We can actually take crypto to represent another crypto, creating synthetic cryptos. We can use crypto to represent the value of a Dow Jones index. We can use crypto to now represent the value of a stock, of bonds, baseball cards. Okay? So this is actually immensely powerful because now crypto is not just crypto. Crypto can actually represent real-world assets. So if you think about the utility of whether it's Bitcoin or Litecoin or cryptos, traditionally people talked about the utility of crypto as store of value. That is absolutely true, and that is great. Because there is no other technology that I know out there that you can put $10 million in a little ledger device, you can put it in your pocket, you can go anywhere you want, just make sure you don't tell anybody about it, and you can spend it, right? Great store of value. Awesome. Cross borders, absolutely. But guess what? Our hypothesis is that just the utility to store value is not going to bring about a global crypto bank. Utility to store value will bring about investing because people want to buy it and store it. But when you store it, you're not really using it. You're not exchanging it. It's a store of value, right? Of course, there's some exchange in terms of transfer and move somebody. But that is not going to get to the point where you're going to buy coffee with it. That's just not how it's going to work. And a global crypto bank is not come about just because of the utility of a store of value. Store of value will bring about custody service because when you store lots of it, you want to have a safe way to actually store all these digital assets. So you're going to have custodial services, cold storage, and all those things that will happen. But it's not going to bring about global crypto bank. But what we have here, and again, lots of different companies working on this with the concepts of stablecoin, is another utility. And that utility is the ability to not just do store of value, but rather using crypto to represent another kind of asset in the real world. Okay? And that actually will bring about crypto bank. And let me explain. And the reason is that at scale, if you're now transacting or doing, for example, you're in Venezuela and you want to put all your money in USD, right? Instead of your local currency, you could do that. So now lots of people are hedging it to USD. Well, guess what? In order for us to do that, for Abra to do that at scale, Abra would need lots and lots of cryptos because we're giving you that crypto as a collateral to represent the value of the other asset. So where is Abra going to source or get all these cryptos? How are we going to get it? Well, one way we could do it is we could ask all of you here. We could say, hey, would you deposit your Litecoin to Abra and we'll pay you interest? And we can then use your Litecoin as the collateral to then facilitate all different types of assets, creation, synthetic assets. So that's one way we could do it. The other way we could do it is we could lend it from or borrow it from institutional investors. There's lending that can happen, or from hedge funds that have lots of cryptos that instead of just sitting there, can put it to work. Okay? So what am I talking about here? What I just stated is the foundation and basics of what a bank actually does. Right? Users deposit money. And what did the bank do? Bank then
No, they don't. They don't. They create money out of thin air. They do not loan money that's on deposit. We all know that.
Sure, right? and then it gets lended out, right? So this whole interaction where the stable coins in a crypto collateralized way, where it will require lots of cryptos, will actually start to facilitate this creation of this global crypto bank. Okay? And so this is how right now, all these different forces could come together and make this happen. And so how does Litecoin play in all this? Well, we already know, if you look at the 3 core features, the crypto is already globally accessible. There's a lot of great exchanges out there, a lot of global liquidity. Now, there's some countries that are not friendly to cryptos. I think in time that's going to improve, so that's already there. Stable store value, lots of different projects are working on that, and that's already the reality. The blockchain is already internet-based, peer-to-peer. And so what we could see is that with Bitcoin, if it becomes a new commodity standard, that could be the reserve currency that essentially lies underneath the other assets. And Charlie mentioned this regarding Litecoin. Litecoin has much less mining fees, much faster transaction times. So it could be the payment currency that complements Bitcoin as a reserve currency, more for everyday use. So this is how essentially a global crypto bank could come about. All right, so again, I will be around today. If you have any questions, feel free and come grab me. But thank you guys for letting me talk a little about how the crypto bank is possible.
Up now, we have my microphone. Up now, we have a really exciting panel for all of you. We have 3 people from different sectors in blockchain, all talking about things related to Litecoin. It's going to be interesting, some of the responses we're going to get. While they're coming in, I just want to remind you all that the social media, if you do want to be tagging, that's why I love Litecoin. I think it has one of the best communities in cryptocurrency. It's absolutely, I mean, it's incredible. And people have been going crazy on Twitter, so thank you for that, for posting pictures. The hashtag to be using again is LTCSF18. And actually, can we be getting the chairs set up on the table while I'm announcing this? Super. So that's LTCSF18 if you wanted to be tagging things. Thank you so much to all the people who've been posting pictures. It's been really, really wonderful. As I mentioned, the entire conference is being live streamed. So if you have people who couldn't make it here today who do want to be keeping up with all the exciting announcements, then send them to the Litecoin Foundation channel YouTube, and they will be able to join in all of the fun. So now I'm going to go ahead and introduce the next panel. We're talking about digital infrastructures. We have Eric Winner, who's the VP of Engineering at Gemini. We have Daniele Sesdagali, who's the CEO of Zulu Republic, which is an identity-based blockchain, and Adas Rosen, who's the VP of Marketing at Simplex, which deals with fraudless payment processing. So can you please give a very warm welcome to these wonderful people, and can we get this podium taken down? Otherwise it'll be a strange... thank you so much. All right, warm welcome to our wonderful panelists. And while they're just setting up there, just another reminder. So tonight we have a really exciting mixer planned. I think that it's only available for VIP tickets, but you can purchase a pass just to attend the mixer tonight. So if you wanted to check that out, then go to the registration desk. I'm particularly excited because we've got all sorts of musical performances, and oh, sorry, I'm in the way. All sorts of musical performances and exciting things going on. I'm actually doing, so I do like a really silly, ridiculous quiz show, and they asked me to do the quiz show at the mixer tonight as well. And so I was like, well, I can't really do a quiz show with Charlie at the conference unless he's a contestant. So he agreed to be a contestant in the quiz show, which is going to be interesting. I have lots of questions about Litecoin, so I wonder if he will be able to answer them, and we will have to see that. All right, thank you so much, guys. This is really exciting. So just to start off with, I did introduce your names earlier, but if you just wanted to take turns, go down the line and just let everyone know who you are and who you work with, and tell us just like a quick overview of the platform. Let's start with you, Eric.
Sure. Hey, I'm Eric Weiner. I'm the VP of Engineering over at Gemini. Gemini is one of the world's first and foremost regulated digital asset exchanges and custodians. We're based in New York. We've got an office also in Portland, Oregon, not in San Francisco. Sorry, guys. But we currently support Bitcoin, Ether, and Zcash, but we are working on Litecoin.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm the CEO of Zulu Republic. We just came out from stealth mode about a couple of months ago. We are a company based in Zug in Switzerland. We fly over here. It's very nice in California right now. And what we do is that we develop technology to help people in underdeveloped countries, and our current main focus is self-sovereign identity and adoption. So you will see also panels of our company also tomorrow about this, and we will talk about identity today.
My turn? Hey, everybody. Good morning. Hey, you first. My name is Dasl Zen. I'm the VP Marketing of Simplex. We're actually based in Tel Aviv in Israel. And what we do, we make sure that mainstream users can purchase crypto in an easy and fraudless way. What we really do on a daily basis is make sure that fraudsters cannot purchase crypto with credit card, and that all users are actually legitimate users, and they're holding their own credit card before they're actually purchasing. And so our specialty is really bridging the gap, the regulation gap between the fiat and the crypto. We are a European licensed company, so we are allowed to hold and take care of the fiat money from the user perspective. On the other hand, make sure that at the end they buy safely the crypto. And I just want to thank the Litecoin Foundation for inviting us to come here today.
So I have some questions for all of you, but just to start off with, I have some specifically tailored questions to each of the platforms. They're all very different, and we've got different areas of blockchain to cover. So I'm actually going to start with you, Eric. Recently, Gemini announced the Gemini dollar, which is a stable coin. I just wanted you to let people know what it is, how it works, and how it could benefit people.
Yeah, sure. So we're really excited about this. We launched the Gemini dollar just this past Monday. This is the world's first regulated stablecoin, which is really exciting. A stablecoin, you heard a little bit about stablecoins in the last presentation about how you've got your fiat-backed ones and your crypto-backed ones. Gemini dollar is a fiat-backed stablecoin, which actually isn't that hard a computer science problem. But what it really is a trust problem. And we think we've solved that. We are regulated by New York State and other state and international regulators. We have your fiat funds are held in one of the largest and oldest banks in the United States, and they're FDIC insured in case anything happens to us or if anything happens to that bank. We're audited by a very well-regarded independent auditing firm who's going to be taking a look at all the numbers every month and making sure that they're still in line. And that's really the keys to making a good stablecoin. And so from there, we're very excited about being able to enable faster money movements of USD between different crypto exchanges all over the world, as well as enabling more decentralized applications to use just the dollar as their currency instead of having to use using Litecoin, using Ether, using Bitcoin is great, but for a lot of use cases, it can be a lot better just to move dollars over a blockchain. So it's something we're really excited about for the future.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I always, a lot of people talk about the friction that comes when you're going in and out of the traditional financial system. If you want to, get out of USD, if you're trying to play the markets, it's just really nice to have a tool within the cryptocurrency ecosystem to do that. So let's actually move on. We'll go to Daniele, and you're talking. Your platform Zulu, it's talking about distributed identity systems. It's about putting that on the blockchain. The idea is to protect people's privacy. So let's actually talk about how digital identity can help Litecoin in particular.
So this is very important because, of course, everybody can imagine why they are on stage about Litecoin, but how actually we are here is because we designed our solution to work as much as wider as possible with different type of blockchains. So in the case of Litecoin, it was very important to us to create a digital identity that could help the movement of money between different addresses in a regulated way. So we have to start thinking about what is a self-sovereign identity to understand how it can really help Litecoin. So let's start with the concept of privacy. So we all know what privacy means, but how can we really gain back the control of our data is the real question. And every day, even yesterday with the Google situation about elections and before Cambridge Analytica, you can imagine that where is my data? Where is held? So we started with this idea that I can own all my data. I already own it, kind of. But with the internet, it has been lost everywhere. So with our digital passport, you are getting back the control of your data. And that was very important. And in your data, there is also, for example, Litecoin address. And in the case of an exchange, for example, they use tools to check where the funds are coming from. For example, if they're coming from addresses that have been used in robberies or illegal activities. In the case of our digital identity solution, you could add your address to your identity. And you don't need to really share the information, for example, to an exchange to prove that you are actually a US citizen. So you can use Gemini, for example, that you are resident outside of a certain state they might not operate. And this is very, very, very important for the future, I believe, of cryptocurrency in general, because we can see that the regulators are always coming after trying to see how to control Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the transactions that are coming in between. So it was very important for us to create one way to still retain this kind of control, but as self-sovereign. So you are the one that really have access to your data, but you can give it also in little pieces and components that you want to share to enable a real transaction, a real usage in the work case, a real work case scenario of cryptos.
Yeah. So Adas, so Simplex is a platform where you deal with fraudless payment processing there, and you enable people, as you mentioned, they can purchase crypto using credit cards, and you guys actually take full liability for this. So I mean, this is chargeback fraud is a huge problem with credit cards. So what are some of the obstacles that you guys have come across, and how are you dealing with them?
Okay, so I think that the main issue is really that in order for the crypto world, doesn't matter which coin, to succeed and to grow, we need to, now we're in a stage of growing, meaning that if today we have 30 million users that are using crypto worldwide, we want to reach 3 million users using crypto. Now, crypto is like regular e-commerce. People want the regular user experience that they know, that they go in eBay or Amazon or any other site, and they just use their credit card, and they are able to buy whatever they want with their credit card in a very fast and easy way, let's say it this way. And one of the main problems is that we're seeing, of course, with the crypto is that fraudsters, meaning people that are doing illegal things, and let's just make it clear that it's not regular people that just now want to steal Bitcoin, one or two Bitcoin. Those are mafias and organizations that this is what they do for their living. They actually steal crypto from mainstream users. They also understand the ease and the good about having Bitcoin or any other crypto, of course, Litecoin and on. And what our challenge is to make sure that in one hand, the mainstream user can go on any exchange, any wallet, decide to purchase crypto in a fast and easy, intuitive way. And on the other hand, to make sure that if it's not a legitimate user, we'll stop him on the way. And we take, as we said, we take full fraud back liability, meaning that the exchange and the merchant, on the other hand, if we missed anything and at the end the user will do a chargeback, meaning that he will claim to his bank that he did not purchase the crypto, we will pay the bank instead of the merchant. This is the business program that we have actually. So we have a full partnership, two partnership with our partners, but in one hand we'll make money together with them if the conversion rate will be high, but on the other hand, if we will fall into those fosters, we will cover the cost.
Yeah, I think that generally, I mean, it's so nice to see the crypto space evolving and just see some of the friction that is prohibiting mainstream adoption start to be dealt with. You have different companies who are dealing with these specific issues. If they're used to the ease of the traditional payment processes,
exactly.
You know, how can we say, well, this is interchangeable? You know, in a way, it's not interchangeable. In a way, it's a different product, and the people who like crypto tend to prefer, like, you know, they're into crypto for specific reasons. But it is nice to see that maybe this is opening up a whole market for people who perhaps weren't involved in crypto for the original reasons that most people got involved. Eric, let's talk with you a little bit. I want to know, you know, Gemini, it's a big exchange, and it does really well. But you guys, you have to be compliant within US law, for example, and take people's data. Like, how do you keep data secure on the platform? Like, what are some of the obstacles you come across, and how are you dealing with those?
Yeah, sure. So Gemini, as you said, it holds a decent chunk of the world's cryptocurrency, whether it's in our exchange platform or an institutional custody platform. And so security has to sort of permeate everything we do because it presents a big target for attackers. We can't just install Litecoin on a server and call it a day. It's just not gonna cut it. So we've had to do a lot of even original research into using things like military spec hardware security modules, HSMs, essentially Trezors or Nano S's on steroids. We've had to build, you know, multi-sig vaults distributed around the country. And it's not even just technical problems. You've got to deal with the possibility of rogue employees, kidnap and ransom threats, natural disasters. And there's a certain set of skills and experience that helps you build this. So when we were first starting Gemini 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, we sort of tried to hire security and cryptography professionals first. So we ended up with, I think there's 5 people at the company who have run security teams before, like organizational security teams before, whether it's at banks, startups, other exchanges, and everything in between. So getting the right people in place, getting the right technology in place from the start, so that you're making sure to take care of your customers' funds, sometimes your customers' livelihoods. It's really paramount to us.
I mean, that seems to be such a complex issue when you're dealing with rogue employees in particular. I mean, that seems to be the way that a lot of places, like, that's a vulnerability. It must be a really hard process to vet people and to make sure you've got good personnel in place to safeguard.
Yeah, and controls. Right. You know, you can always just you just put a bunch of different layers there. You do background checks, but you also build in technical controls and monitoring systems. Everything sort of just works together to make a secure platform.
Right. And then how are you, as the infrastructure of Gemini, plan to scale? I presume that we're looking for more people to enter the cryptocurrency market. And obviously, you know, if you guys implement Litecoin, that's going to open it up to an entirely new market as well. So are there scaling issues that you guys have faced?
Yeah. So actually, we always knew that we wanted to scale, you know, up to the level of, say, the New York Stock Exchange. And so we built like that from the start. So our problems have been less around technical scaling, sort of handling user growth, as it has been with adapting to the changing world of cryptocurrencies. Let me give an example of this. As a show of hands, how many of you guys owned Litecoin in 2014? Got a couple, good. And honestly, it really wasn't on our radar then when we were building our first sort of Bitcoin-focused wallet infrastructure. So when we think about scale, one of the things we have to do is figure out how can we change our architecture to adapt for where cryptocurrency is in 2018. It's been, unfortunately, a bit of a long and slow process because we want to do it carefully and securely. But I am pleased to announce that we will be launching Litecoin support on October 13th. Really want to thank you guys for your patience. The Litecoin community has been fantastic. And Charlie informed me that that's actually going to be the 7th birthday of Litecoin.
Oh, wow.
So
did you know that in advance?
Didn't even know that.
Oh, that's so cool. I like that. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that, and I'm sure lots of people will be jumping on board.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Daniele, I wanted to talk about privacy in particular. Now, obviously, digital identity systems and distributed identity are so important for safeguarding people. Like, identity theft is a $1 trillion industry, and so when you have to give your information, it takes a lot to protect that data. So what you guys are trying to implement are those safeguards. Encrypt all of that content so you don't actually have to give it to platforms.
So I have to say that the biggest challenge on creating something like a self-sovereign identity, instead of the actual technology, is bringing it to the institutions and to the governments. Probably that's the biggest risk that we confront. Thank God blockchain has a very good track on security, so we are building on something that it's pretty solid. But every time that we confront ourselves with specifically governments and institutions, you have to try to take compromises, and we don't want to make compromises because we believe that the biggest challenge of building a digital identity and a passport, it's really making it ethically correct for everyone. That's why we built up a foundation that is a non-profit that just develops that solution by itself. And we believe that if we can unlock this little thing, like giving back sovereignty to people, we can really unlock a lot of other things for everyone, even more in underdeveloped countries. For example, we are developing a solution utilizing SMS. It will be on Litecoin, so you could transact SMS. You probably already saw, and it was going around. But that solution is also the backend and the backend structure for bringing also identity to SMS. Let's think about, for example, a refugee that is moving towards another country, fleeing war. How can they, for example, pre-register for a refugee camp? Is that possible? Can we bring this type of technology to these people? That is the most important challenge to us, and that's why we are building this technology with the SMS, USSD codes, for example, and that's why the ethics, it's the biggest challenge of security.
Right. So Adas, staying in the same vein before we talked about specific attacks that Simplex is guarding against when you have chargeback fraud and you have all that sort of thing. But now talking in terms of mainstream adoption and getting more people involved, what are some scaling issues that you guys have faced? How have you overcome these? And what are your aims in terms of getting more people involved?
Okay, so I think that we've been around for 4 years already. So let's say that there's two kinds of fraud types. One of them is when user is trying to purchase something with not a legitimate credit card, meaning that he stole the credit card details. This is what we call the easiest part, okay? Maybe for us, it's an AI machine learning system that has no problem with scalability and can take care of millions of transactions in an hour, and it's not really a big challenge. The big challenge today is what we call social engineering, is when actually a person is using his credit card and he knows that he's legitimate, he's using his own credit card, but he's doing something that he doesn't understand. There was a big epidemic actually in the US at the beginning of the year that was called tax scam. That bad people, let's call it this name, they used to call elderly people, took control of their computer and told them that if they want their computer to run again, to reopen the computer, they need to pay them an amount of money. Some of them were very clever and said, we're calling from Microsoft and we will save your computer, now just pass me this Bitcoin, pay me with Bitcoin, or there was also Litecoin, I think, and some of them were actually blackmailing them. And those elderly people purchased crypto with their credit card, and they knew exactly what they're doing, but of course they did not understand what they're doing. I mean, they did it with their own credit card, but they had no idea what they're doing, and of course, 2 days after that, all the chargebacks came in. So we actually now developed some new technology that will allow us to understand if somebody is actually controlling your computer. And we have those different routes, but if we understand that it's a person, that maybe somebody is trying to do something bad to them, then we'll ask him to send us a selfie call, selfie video, but do you understand exactly what we're purchasing? There was another nice case study that we found out that there was a site that was acting as they were a phishing site for B&B, and people were purchasing actually hotels rooms and they've been asked to pay with crypto, mostly by Bitcoin. And of course, at the end, the honest user thought that he's purchasing an hotel room, but at the end, he was actually being attacked by some fraudsters. So I think that the main challenge today is not only to stop the fraudsters, is to make sure that we cover all aspects of types of frauds.
Right. So to sum up there, we've only got a few minutes. I just want to talk about the future. I want to talk about the future of Litecoin and your platforms and what you can see in the future. Like, what does the world look like in 5 years' time, and what does Litecoin look like in the world of blockchain technology? So we'll start with you, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, as everybody keeps on saying, it's early days. It's still really exciting. The phrase I keep on saying is that blockchain's technology is not going to get uninvented. The cat is out of the bag. And I'm not sure if Bitcoin or Litecoin or anything that we're talking about has really found its killer app. It's really found its niche yet, but it's going to. These technologies have value. Having sound money, having a payments currency, having a reserve currency, having stable coins, having easy mobile apps, having fraud detection, having identity on the blockchain. These things are all going to build on each other and build a new ecosystem. And it may take decades, but that train is rolling and it's going to keep on happening.
Absolutely. Daniele?
I think that the future in general of blockchain, it's very bright because every day somebody comes towards us, send some email, we see feedback from the developing countries. For example, we see the case of Venezuela. We can already tell we have people down there, and we have also friends. They had already told us that crypto is really saving lives. And I believe that that's his own killer app. Actually, we already found it. The only thing is that sometimes we concentrate too much on investment. We concentrate on where Litecoin is going up and down. Are we going to get rich quickly? But sometimes we should see the thing as it is, and there is people in Venezuela, there is people in South Africa currently that are searching Bitcoin the most. Why? Because they need this technology. They need to be outside of the problems that they're facing, and they can't do anything else apart of having that. So we should really bring this to them, and that I hope that is the future of blockchain, bringing that to them.
That's awesome. Adas?
So, of course, I share exactly the same thoughts as well. I have it too, yeah, but in general, I think that crypto is democracy. Democracy is winning, and that's why crypto will win. It does not make sense that I need to pay so much money to my bank every time that I want to transfer money overseas. If I want to send an email today, there's no associated cost to that. If I want to make a phone call today, I can just use any IP application, and I don't have to pay as much money as we paid 15, 20 years ago. And this is what will happen with money. We're going to be able, we as people, to transfer money without the need to pay so much money to an institution bank that don't really give us any service. I think that's the bottom line.
The people are waking up, for
Yep.
sure.
Well, that's democracy.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's definitely a very exciting future. As you said, Eric, the cat is out of the bag. This tech can't be uninvented. We've got some really exciting things going on at the moment. So thank you so much for being here on the panel and for chatting. And you will get to hear some more exciting things going on after our lunch break, which is now. So thank you so much for being here, guys. If you guys wanted to go and grab lunch, we are back here at 12:45. So head back in here after the lunch break, and we'll get started with the afternoon.
That car that gave her problems, I'm just curious but I'm honest. Though you're wondering why I've been calling, I got ulterior motives.